hand you over to Mike Pienkowski.
Well, Deputy Chief Minister, Minister of Health, Environment, Climate Change, I think I missed one or two out there, Ministry of Economic Development, and visiting ministers as well as chief executives and executive directors and directors of organisations, workers even, volunteers, colleagues, friends, and I apologise if I missed anybody out of those categories, but you're all very welcome. First of all, on behalf of the Council and officers and the whole network of the UK Disease Territories Conservation Forum, I'd like to thank the Government of Gibraltar for hosting this conference and providing the largest contribution of financial support. This is not, of course, in any way to underplay the support of UK's Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, in the previous financial year for part of the early planning stages, that of JNCC in contributing to the costs of some of the technical participants from some of the UK Disease Territories governmental bodies. And I want to also thank particularly various specialists who donated time, particularly Joe Truick of Truick Environmental Consultants for large donations of very qualified time in the environmental audit in the impact assessment area. And indeed my colleagues from UKOTCF for absolutely huge amounts of donated time. And thank you all also for coming, for your time and the contributions of you and your colleagues back at home in preparing for all these efforts. It's a real pleasure for me personally to be here at this conference in Gibraltar. Apart from the oldest amongst you, and I'm trying not to look at it in particular, either in front or behind, many participants may not realise fully that not only was there a previous conference in Gibraltar, but in fact it was the first to be planned in this series of very successful meetings. It was in fact called CALPI 2000. CALPI, as I'm sure you all know, is the Roman name for Gibraltar, and it was also subtitled Linking the Fragments of Paradise. But it wasn't actually the first to take place, because in the interim of the very thorough planning for that meeting taking place, we did help work with Ian Orr, then of FCO, who's here today now an escapee, sorry, a retiree from FCO and a council member of the forum. And he organised at short notice a conference in London in 1999 called A Breath of Fresh Air. The CALPI 2000 conference set a standard for what turned out to be a series of working conferences for conservation practitioners in the territories, in Crown dependencies. And at all of these we also had some involvement from overseas entities of France and the Netherlands and other nations, as well as small independent states. Our colleague from the Dutch Caribbean had been planning to be with us, but an urgent local issue caused us to withdraw. But we're very pleased to have some participants from the French overseas entities here, as well as from St. Lucia and larger nations with an involvement, including what I was almost going to describe as a former UK overseas territory, the United States of America. They're nonetheless welcome. In total, when I last counted, we have 17 territories and the 4 home countries of the UK represented, as well as 9 other countries. The Gibraltar Conference was followed by Bermuda in 2003, Jersey in 2006, and Cayman in 2009. And these have been very productive in, as one participant put it, making good things happen that otherwise wouldn't. I'm not going to detail examples, you were pleased to know, but a lot of that feedback is analysed in the proceedings of earlier conferences. And one of those frequent questions I was asked during the period since the last conference, which is a longer time than we would like, was when is the next conference going to be? Well, after a lot of effort, here it is. Now, we had hoped to have a UK minister at the conference, but the short time interval since the relevant ministerial appointments for the UK general elections prevented this, despite the valiant effort by officials who we thank very much for that time, and we welcome them greatly themselves to be here. The then DEFRA Minister of Natural Environment, who participated in the Cayman conference, is now in opposition. I don't think the two events are connected in any way. But as a happy coincidence, Ranka Davies MP, that minister, or that former minister, has just been elected as the chair of the House of Commons Environmental Audit Committee. And, we in the forum work very close to that committee, and I know that Gibraltar government has done so too. And Mr. Ranker Davis asked me to pass the conference a message, which I'm pleased to do. It says, "Dear Mike, it was an honour to address the last UKOT Environmental Conference in 2009, and it was with regret I had to decline the invitation for the upcoming conference. I appreciate your understanding for the requirements on my time at this important early stage of re-establishment of the committee. I do hope that you'll convey to the conference audience that I look forward to building the relationship with UKOTCF and helping the committee play its part in ensuring the overseas territories continue to be recognised as a crucial part of the UK's approach to biodiversity, environmental protection and sustainable development. Great progress has been made, including the designation of a marine protected area around the Pitcairn Islands, and the committee will be keen to keep an eye on progress here and towards a blue belt around the overseas territories, as well as other matters related to the conservation of the UKOTs. On that basis, I'll be grateful if you could notify the committee team of topics arising from the conference which you believe will be of interest to EAC. It will be most helpful in developing the committee's future programme. Kind regards, you." Now, we shall obviously respond after the conference to the committee based on this conference's discussions. Throughout the series of conferences, we've tried not just to help progress environmental conservation and sustainable use, but also to learn from our experiences in running conferences, ever more efficiently, we hope, to make use of general support and also all your valuable time. As has already been recalled here, I recall also, at the time of the Calpe conference, the then director of the Gibraltar Library Gardens and General Secretary of GONS, as well as the lead local organiser, a certain Dr. Jean Cortez, told me that he viewed organising that conference as the peak of his career. Now, this was typically modest, John. As I see the voters of Gibraltar, and indeed you, Deputy Chief Minister, have agreed. So John's embarked on yet another career. But the primary objective of the conference remains in common with its predecessors: to exchange information and experience on best practice so that we can all be as effective as possible with our limited resources, and to develop joint approaches and projects where this is mutually advantageous. We know that Gibraltar and all the territories are good examples and experiences for addressing challenges from which the others can benefit in progressing to a sustainable future. Hence our title, developed around a table in the office of the Minister last year, and with the approval too of the Honourable Chief Minister, Sustaining Partnerships. So I thank you very much for your attention, and I too look forward to the presentations and discussions over the coming days. And I think, unless our hosts have anything to add, then it's probably time to have a celebratory drink and perhaps some of these tasty looking nibbles over here. So thank you very much, and thank you, Minister.